Hello, 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 and welcome. In today's video, I am going to share something I have seen not only in myself, but in my clients, a pattern that can hold you back. And so much of what I share and what I teach, it's like we were all brought up a certain way, learning rules and doing life a certain way. And it's literally like, oh, actually, the way we're supposed to do it and the way that actually works is over here. So you'll notice that my content does that a lot because until we see what we're doing that's not working and we don't even realize we're doing it, right? Because we're so used to it, everybody around us is doing it. This is really like a deconditioning. And then, of course, we reclaim our power and we align with our soul and we use all the beautiful energetic principles and we can completely transform your life. So there is a pattern that I have observed not only in myself, but pretty much every single client that I have. And so this means it's likely happening for you. So I want to really shine a big old light on it so you can see it for what it is because it might be holding you back. And then, of course, what to do instead. So there's this programming in the world, and especially if you're a highly conscious person, you're probably quite a responsible person. Like, I know for me personally, I've carried the load of a lot of situations, not only in my career, my personal life. Like, I'm the one who is doing a lot of the emotional labor and just being the responsible one. I have a really high sense of integrity. I always want to be doing the right thing, which is beautiful. And like I said, my clients are all like this as well. However, that can actually be a trap. And sometimes when we call something responsible, when we call something smart or practical, it's actually just a cover and is just actually a limiting belief. Hear me out here, okay? Like I said, as I am sharing all this, I fell into this trap so many times that I'm actually going to give you a really grounded example. And you can see how sneaky this is because it's really, really sneaky. Because if you're somebody who's been raised and to be responsible, or you just naturally are, and more conscious you become, it's really easy to fall into that. You take more responsibility. Like I know when I was in the corporate world, I saw things that nobody else could see. I understood things that others couldn't see. And this is what happens when you become more conscious because you just know more. You can look at somebody's patterns and you can see what's going on with them, right? You may not completely 100% know, but for some reason, those of us that are more conscious, it's like we take on this greater sense of responsibility. It might be at work, it might be with your family, it might just be in society at all around, right? But how much, first of all, of the time are you taking on more responsibility than is actually yours? That's the first question to ask yourself. Okay. That's a really, really important one. And it was interesting. I'm going to give you an example where this happened. So I have spent the last number of years heavily on LinkedIn, and I always put my LinkedIn um, link down below here in the details of any video I do because there's a lot of content on there because I've been on there for years. But I've really noticed that I'm not gravitating towards LinkedIn anymore. The energy's changed there over the years. A couple years ago, it was feeling a lot better. People were more open to change, but I'm just finding it's kind of gone back to the LinkedIn that it was pre-2020. So it's just not vibing with me anymore. I'm just not feeling any, really good about it. So, but just to know you, I do have a lot of content there. So if you ever want to go back and look a lot of things, I do put the link below. But there was a woman who commented recently on there about basically nobody's responding to her content. Like it's just going nowhere, right? And I saw it came up on my feed. I think we're connected. And I said to her, yeah, I said, there's a lot of AI content over there. I just made a couple of remarks. And I said, I'm not really spending much time there anymore. It's just not working for me anymore, right? And she said to me, well, what are you doing now? Kind of thing, right? So I just sent her a voice message and I said, like, YouTube feels very good for me. It's long form, which I believe we need now. And I said, I'm not feeling it over here. And she wrote back a beautiful message, like lovely woman, but she said something to the effect of, and I wish I could remember the words, but it was something to the effect of, we have to keep dropping seeds for people to stretch them. And my whole body just went, totally constricted. Like I just like, no, it's not any of our jobs to stretch people. I'm not here to stretch you. I am here to connect with the people who already resonate with energy, who already understand there's something about reclaiming your power. Maybe they've never heard of it, but when I speak about it, it lands. Who want to understand more about alignment, how to align with their soul, their true essence, all these things. People who are already in that sort of sphere. I'm not here to drag people on and wake them up and do all this thing. No, 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 no. That's not my responsibility. And the way she worded it, like I said, I wish I grabbed it before I started filming this. It was like a responsibility. That's what I felt. And that can happen when you reach a higher level of consciousness. Okay, that's the first place that responsibility can hold you back. Are you hanging out in places where you feel a great sort of sense of responsibility, one that is too much? Okay, one that is too much. You're not here to save the world. You're not here to carry everybody else, because that requires often self-sacrifice. And there may be times that we choose to do this, but there is a fine line between being consciously choosing that sometimes I'm going to go the extra mile here because I really want to help somebody or the situation, versus because you have a higher consciousness and because you have a higher level of integrity, that you need to somehow carry everybody else, because that's going to deplete you. If it hasn't already, it probably already has. It is going to be very unrewarding. It's not reciprocal, right? Because you're always giving, And so just to be mindful where responsibility can turn into self-abandonment if you are not mindful. It certainly did for me for a while. I used to fall into that trap. And there have been many times in my life where I've had to carry more responsibility. And sometimes it's legitimately because, we make our lives are a result of a decision we've made over the years, right? So there was decisions I made, obviously, years back that now I live the consequences. And then one of those is being a single parent. I've had to carry almost the whole weight of raising two daughters by myself, even though there is another parent that's there. And so I've had to carry way more responsibility. And obviously, I'm happy to do that for my kids, right? But still, it's taken, right? It's taken from how I've been able to experience other areas of my life. And so there's that one bit of responsibility, but this next one is really sneaky as well. This is a second way. Responsibility and like being practical and being smart can get in the way. And something that's also to be really mindful of before I dive really into this is I want you to think for a moment, are you a person who really likes the fact that you're responsible, or likes the fact that you're smart, makes wise decisions, is methodical, thoughtful? Are you somebody who is like that? And do you admire that about yourself? Because I'm here to tell you that can be a trap. I'm that person, just so you know, right off the mark. And so I know this little trap more than anybody. Well, not more than anybody, but just as well as anybody. It's this trap of I'm the responsible one. I'm the smart one. I'm the one who always makes the wise decisions. Because unfortunately, making the wise decisions all the time, and I'm going to frame what this looks like, okay? Because there's so much nuance to this. So just stay with me here. When you become the responsible one or the practical one, it really can be a self-limiting belief. So I'm going to give you just a really easy, basic example. Say you are applying on jobs, okay? And you're looking out at the economy right now and you're going, wow, okay, all we're seeing is companies lay off. The smart thing for me to do is to apply on as many jobs as I can, even if I don't really want them, even if they're not really aligned, even if I would actually hate it. But the smart thing to do, the responsible thing to do, is to apply on all of them. There are many people who would agree with that kind of logic and that kind of responsibility, being smart about it. Economy's not like it used to be, yada, 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 right? It sounds really good, okay? But what is underlying that is scarcity. There's not as many jobs. I'm not going to find. So I have to spread myself wider. Alignment, which is so key. And I've got my new masterclass. I'll link it down below. The Power of Alignment. Alignment is so important because when you apply on anything and everything, in this example, okay, when you apply on anything and everything, what you're going to get back is anything and everything. Like, we have to understand what we put out as a signal, we get back. And so where I see people get so frustrated is they use the logic, well, I'm being responsible, I'm being smart, I'm applying on a million different jobs, but then 6 months later going, oh my God, all I'm getting is garbage. All I'm getting is crap. There's nothing I actually want. I'm not even getting called in. Like, it's just like this grossness of nothing coming in. And this is the trap of being responsible. Often it's a cover for lack, fear, and scarcity. We do this thing where we think we're going to do more. We're going to cover our bases. We're going to get consensus. We're going to get validation. We have all these little sneaky ways that we convince ourselves we're just being responsible. What we're actually doing is we're outsourcing. We're in fear. We're doing something like this, okay? I'm going to give you an example that I saw in myself at some point in my business, okay? And when I saw this, I was like, whoa, because I know this pattern. I know this pattern like the back of my hand. And even I was like, oh my God, I'm doing this. So in my business, so I've been a single parent, okay, for 18 years. Yeah, about 18 years now. A long time. Now, anybody who's been a single parent knows what it's like. It's all on you, okay? It's all on me. So every single thing, I can't let anything drop. So that's a hyper responsibility almost, right? Because it's a lot. It's the home, it's like all like my daughter's care, their emotional health, mental health, physical health, finances, everything. So I left corporate. I had a career in corporate, 20 plus years in corporate. So when I left, I had a money saved up. Okay. I mean, I always have. I'm very financially responsible. It's just who I am. I used to be a CPA. Like, it's just who I am. I wasn't about to leave corporate with not having any money, right? And I was working in my business, and I reached this point where I was like, I'm doing a lot of output. I've got the right mindset. Like, I've got a coach. Like, I've got all this stuff that's working for me. Why can I not get to the next level? Like, why am I stuck? I have done so much around money as well. I'm going to be sharing some content on that later. I'm not sure if it'll be May or June, but I've done so much work around wealth consciousness and releasing money blocks as well. Like, I've done so much work, and I'm like, what the heck? Like, this is not adding up. The math's not mathing. And then I realized somewhere in the back of my mind, and this was a pattern that I kept doing, is I kept saying to myself, well, if I don't make enough money in my business, if I can't make this work, I can always pull from investments. I had this program running in the back of my mind all the time. Because at the beginning, I did need to pull some money from investments, right? I didn't leave corporate right away and then all of a sudden be able to replace my 6-figure corporate income, right? So I kept this program running long past when it was helpful that I can always pull some money from my investments. Like, no, that's like money, like I don't want to pull money from investments, but it made me feel better. It soothed me. I'm like, I'm being responsible. I've got this money over here that I can pull out. But it was a loop that I was in where I kept telling myself, I can pull money, I can pull money, I can pull money, I can pull money. So what I would do is I would, kind of project my finances of what I might make in my business, my bills. Like I would do, of course, I'm a CPA, right? So like, this is like second nature for me to like dive into the numbers. And then I realized, Andrea, you're literally planning to pull money. The energy that you're putting out there is, I can pull money, which is creating this massive doubt in your business. It's like basically saying your energetic signal, because it's always energy, is I don't trust that my business can flourish, provide all these beautiful things. By me keep going and thinking I'm the responsible one going, I've got I've got nest eggs, I've got things I can lean on. Like because I was so used to that, especially as a single parent, just a parent and a, functioning adult, right? That's what we do, right? But I kept going to it, and it was only to soothe me, when really what I needed to do was like energetically close the door. Like, I'm not pulling anything from there. This business is going to flourish, and focusing and putting all my trust. I mean, the money was still there, right? But it was my energy about it. So, how I looked at what is responsible, what is smart, what is practical. Well, what is smart and responsible is for me to anchor in to my trust in my ability and my business to provide. That's the smart, responsible thing to do. But I was in this trap of the old paradigm of have a backup plan, right? Nothing wrong with having a backup plan. This is why I said there's nuance to this. Okay, there is nuance. I'm not suggesting to anybody they quit their job with no money in the bank and just, hope, right? Because if your nervous system isn't calibrated and you aren't regulated, you're going to free fall. Okay, there's a lot of nuance to this, but it's to bring to your attention. How often do we use this responsibility kind of umbrella to limit ourselves, to stop ourselves, to actually block what we really, really want? And I remember, I'm going to share one more really, God, it was an example of somebody who came into my world, like in a business sense. This person stuck with me because I was just like, wow. So this man reached out to me, and he was really unhappy in his career. And he was very stressed. He was working 14, 15-hour days, and his heart health was not good. And on a call with him, he was so wound up. Like, you could feel the stress coming off this man. And all I kept thinking to myself is, you're a heart attack waiting to happen. Like, you literally are, right? And he had a family, and he lived in a very affluent area of California. And he said, I can't step back. We live in a very, wealthy area, and my kids need to, show a certain thing when they're in school. I need to provide for them at this level. And so he never ended up working with me. He never moved forward, but it always stuck to me. I was like, wow, that is somebody who has decided the responsible thing to do is to just keep white knuckling it, because he had a family. And, my heart went out to him. Like, it really did, because I could see he was staying and doing something that was literally going to kill him. I could see it. Like, it was so clear as day. But feeling that the responsible thing to do is to stay in this situation. And I'm like, dude, your health. Like, I just, it wasn't my place to say, right? I'm not going to override somebody. However, I did suggest a couple things to him, but, ultimately he didn't work with me, and he went on his way. And I hope, this was years ago now, I hope he's found his way. But this is the thing about responsibility. It can be a really sneaky thing. And, if he went out to friends and express what was going on with them, there would be a million people who would agree with him. Yeah, the responsible thing to do is just stay and do what you're doing. Whereas maybe the responsible thing to do is move, sell your house, get your health back, and then make a plan. That, to me, in my mind, is the responsible thing to do. And like, for me in my business, me thinking the responsible thing to do was over here and just focusing on, I've got this money, and I keep like calculating, like, what if I need to bring it in? What if I need to bring some in? What if I need to bring some in? It's not responsible. It's lack, fear, and scarcity. Whereas, like I said, anybody would say to me, If I had said to anybody at the time, I'm worried about my business, they would go, well, do you have money to pull in? Well, yeah. And what are you worried about? Just pull it, right? Or, get a job, whatever. So it's really about assessing. Are you using being smart and being practical and being responsible as a cover to hide any fear, lack, scarcity, and just keeping you stuck? Because that's what it does. It keeps us stuck. And only you know the answer. Again, there's so much nuance to this. And I'm not here to tell you to take risks that you don't feel prepared for. But one thing I want to share with you that is something I've absolutely observed, and I don't say this often because I know it triggers people, but I know you're still here because you're ready for the truth, is often we underestimate the risk of staying exactly where we are and overestimate the risk of making a change. It's true. We decide that staying the same has very little risk, right? It's our egos, of course. I've done it. We've all done it, right? The truth is that sometimes it's actually riskier not making the change. I mean, I was in corporate for a very long time as a CPA. I was miserable. I hated it, right? And I had to wait until the right time for me to leave corporate because I was a single parent. So there's real world timing issues. But timing issues is different than procrastination without a real good reason. Okay, that's important. And there's a real fine line between knowing when the right time, because this is something else I've heard from a lot of different clients. Say they're wanting to leave a job that they hate. Well, I'm supposed to get a bonus in 6 months, so I'm just going to wait for that. And meanwhile, it's killing them. I've heard this so many times. Different scenarios all like this, right? They've promised me I'm going to get a promotion. I'm up for the next promotion. When did they promise that to you? 2 years ago. Okay, so you're still waiting? And we justify it going, well, it's a smart thing to do. I've got history with this company. They've said to me. How many times do we have to see carrots being dangled? It's a strategy. It's a power play. Got to see it for what it is. And if somebody is suggesting to you that you have this opportunity coming up and they've always followed through, well, that's a different story. But how often do we have a carrot dangled by somebody and they don't ever follow through? And then you invest time waiting. Like, time is precious. This is about choosing you, choosing what works for you, choosing what you decide is responsible for you. Even for me, there's so many decisions I have made that do not look responsible. They don't, to the conventional world, because they don't go with the rules. It doesn't go with what we're supposed to think, be, or do. Yet it's worked out for me. And I know I'm not an anomaly. This is what alignment is as well, right? This is true alignment with your soul essence, not with your ego, not with the past, not with the conditioning. This is aligning with your soul. And when you align with your soul, decisions can feel a little bit riskier because we've been conditioned to align with our egos. And I go into this all in my masterclass, but they can feel riskier, but you have to start to ask, are they really? Or is it just you're up against the conditioning of what responsible, smart, and practical looks like? Because that's often just a cover for fear, lack, and scarcity. So you get to choose. Again, I'm not here to take your power away. I'm here to shine a light on anything that might be holding you back. Instead of doing more, sometimes it's just rejigging how we look at life, how we look at our decisions, picking a new path, and then walking towards that new path in a different way than we ever have before. All right, beautiful soul, I will see you in the next video. Take care. And I would also love to hear comments. I love hearing what's landing for you in the videos and what really resonates with you. So I will see you soon. Take care.